there were 18 Americans lying on the ground. What you don't see in this painting are the equal numbers of whites and blacks. They were white and black patriots. It was a mixed church. Did you even know that happened? One of those injured patriots on the ground in this painting was a black man named Prince Estabrook. I bet you never heard of Prince Estabrook before. How about the painting of George Washington crossing the Delaware? Bunch of white guys, right? No. Look here. African American, helping row the boat across. You know what his name was? Prince Whipple. He fought alongside Washington during the Revolution. Take a look at this one. This painting of, this is the Marquis de Lafayette. If you look at this, you just think, oh yeah, and then he made his slave dress up like I don't know what. But that's what you would think, right? This guy is incredibly important. This guy may have won the Revolutionary War. James Armistead was his name. How did he win the Revolutionary War? Double spy. Basically, the Brits thought that he was spying for them, but he was spying for General Washington. He'd give the Brits bad intel and reveal the good critical information to General Washington. Did you know this story? Why? I'm so tired of people saying, well, it was just the white people, white people, white people. No. No. Why are we intentionally leaving others out? When did America have its first African-American judge?
1768. Wentworth Cheswell, New Hampshire, elected to office in New Hampshire. He was reelected for the next 49 years, held 8 different political positions. Really cool story about him is we all know that Paul Revere made his midnight ride. We also know he wasn't the only guy riding that night. Another guy riding, Wentworth Cheswell, black and white.
Now, how is it possible? Did you know that we had an African-American ride to say the British are coming, the British are coming? Amy did. Amy did. Anybody else besides Amy know that? 2, 3. Okay, 3 people in the audience.
He was such a great guy, and we never hear about him because he rode north and Paul Revere rode west. And Revere was going out to Reverend Jonas Clark's church because that's where Hancock and Adams were, was him. And that's where we had blacks and whites, as you pointed out, laying on the ground after that battle. Wentworth Cheswell rode north telling people the British are coming. And it was from the north that all those people came to Boston to take on the British at Bunker Hill and everywhere else. This guy right here, this is Lemuel Haynes. Lemuel Haynes is a soldier in the American Revolution. He's a black preacher. He's the first black preacher ordained in America that was a pastor of a white congregation in Vermont, Massachusetts, New York, several places.
A black professor in a white,
that's right, in a white church.
Yeah, black minister.
Black minister in a white church in 4 different states. He was ordained in the Congregationalist denomination in 1785. He's the first black to receive a master's degree in America.
When did we have the first Speaker of the House? 1789. When did we have our first black Speaker of the House? I bet most people would say never.
Never. Except it was right here. Joseph Hayne Rainey. Joseph Hayne Rainey, South Carolina, is first black to preside over the House of Representatives. These are the first 7 blacks elected to Congress. You have here Senator Hiram Rhodes Revels, the first black U.S. Senator elected. He was a minister of the gospel. He was a missionary. He worked with Frederick Douglass. He recruited 3 regiments of black soldiers in the Civil War, and he was a missionary to slaves in the South. You have here Benjamin Turner, Josiah Wall, Delord. This guy right here is really cool. Robert Brown Elliott is probably the most brilliant guy of that era. He actually took on the vice president of the Confederacy in a debate on the floor and just tore his head off.
What was the relationship of our founders with African Americans? It depends on where you were. If you're in the South, it's a different relationship, right?
It was.
But our founders, the ones that really put everything together, they came from a world where we don't even understand it. We're striving to get back to this place. Are we not?
We are.
And I want to show. Now these are just these are from old newspapers. This one is Caesar Glover, a colored man supposed to be about 80 years of age. This is a obituary.
Obituary.
He was brought from Africa as a slave when a child. He served in the Revolutionary War and was one of the pensioners of the United States. Okay, this one is at Providence at an advanced age. Bristol Rhodes, a black man of the late Revolutionary Army, in which he long served with deserved reputation at the siege of of Yorktown. He was severely wounded, having unfortunately lost a leg and an arm, and has since assisted on pension. Same story.
Same story.
A colored man named Henry Hill died at Chillicothe not long since the age of 80 years. He served faithfully in the Revolutionary War and was a participant in the battles of Lexington, Brandywine, Monmouth, and Princeton and Yorktown. He was interred with honors of the war. What does that mean?
Not only a pension, but he got a full military funeral as any veteran would get. So that's a military funeral with all the honors that go with being a veteran.
How many people here had any idea that our founders, the people at this time, would take a African American and bury them with a full military rights and honors? Anybody here believe that before just now?
This is good stuff. And again, it's not to say that slavery and the Jim Crow laws, etc., didn't happen. They did, but we got taught that in school. What we didn't get taught was the positive side of that aspect of history. We did so many programs, but there's a lot more we could have done. I mean, this could go forever. We didn't do anything but all the Jewish founding fathers. Mordecai Sheffield was a Jewish patriot who led the forces in across Georgia. Francisco Salvador was the first Jewish patriot killed in the American Revolution. He was ambushed by the British and the Indians and killed. If you go to Chicago, to the business district, you will see there a statue of three great folks in the American Revolution: George Washington, Robert Morris, and Haym Salomon. And Robert Morris and Haym Salomon were the two financiers that gave Washington what he needed to fight the war financially. One a Jew and one a Christian, and Washington holding the hands of both of them. And another aspect we hear nothing about is the young people. I mean, the fact that you take a John Quincy Adams at 8 years old with his musket out going after the British. Well, you look at Andrew Jackson, he was already military prisoner of war at 11 years old from fighting in the Revolution. You take someone like James Iredale. At 17 years old, he was the chief financial officer over North Carolina. So there's just so much history we didn't get into that we couldn't have gotten into on Founders Fridays.